Hyderabad-based Fourth Partner Energy has raised $125 million in an additional equity funding round from Norwegian investment fund Norfund and existing shareholder, the Rise Fund, which is TPG's global impact investing platform. Now, Norfund's $100 million marks its maiden investment into the solar energy company, while the Rise Fund has invested an additional $25 million into Fourth Partner, following its $70 million investment in July 2018. To talk about the fundraise and the future roadmap of Fourth Partner Energy, joining me now is its co-founder and executive director, Saif Dhorajiwala. Saif, welcome to Startup Street. Now, with this new fundraise, Norfund comes on board and TPG's The Rise Fund has also made its second round of investment. Tell us about these new and existing partnerships. Also, briefly tell us how you plan to use the funds.
Thanks, Shruti. Good evening. This is our 10th year of operations, and this is actually our fourth fundraise round. After having done, almost 5 years bootstrapping and then doing a couple of smaller rounds with the Chennai Angels and IIM Ahmedabad's Infuse Ventures, our first big sort of fundraise came with TPG's Rise Fund. This was in 2018, and that sort of marked our shift from being a smaller solution provider to becoming an asset owner and a developer in the renewable space. TPG in its last 3 years has sort of instrumental in bringing about that change and our scale up. And what we're trying to do now is, create an ecosystem of like-minded green impact investors to, funnel more investments into the Indian renewable energy sector. And Norfund is a further step in this direction. They are committed to, increasing their sort of impact, and therefore, decided to partner with us investing in renewable energy in India.
Okay, sir.
And we're going to be using these funds mainly as growth capital to, further enhance our sort of assets.
Yes, I was coming to that. I believe you're looking to strengthen your on-site and off-site solar presence in India, as well as key markets across South and Southeast Asia. Any partnerships you can talk about, and how soon do you plan to roll out your presence there?
Right. So, Shruti, we actually our business model works on partnerships. So it's not only just the business partners, but we have our clients or our customers. Yes. Who we grow with, in India and internationally. We have our partnerships with financiers, and also some of the international, locations. We already have our presence. Like in Indonesia, we have a joint venture with their largest thermal energy company, which is also shifting to renewables, called Indica Energy. Yes. And we are looking for similar partnerships in Sri Lanka and Vietnam, also in Philippines and Thailand. So really, it's taking the learnings from a large and advanced markets of India and, replicating it across, the neighboring countries.
So any names you can give us? What companies in Southeast Asia are you in talks with?
Mostly right now we are on our own, by ourselves. Okay. We will opportunistically look at partnerships in those areas, but each of these countries has our own teams. We have a setup in these countries. And as and when, we need to collaborate with other like-minded players, we'll get to that.
Sure. Okay, Saif, so you have also set an aggressive target for yourself. You're targeting 3 gigawatt of solar capacity by 2025. How do you see demand in India becoming a tailwind towards achieving this goal? Can you give us an update on your portfolios in India and the upcoming projects?
So, Shruti, solar now, or renewable energy in general, is no longer, an option. It is an imperative. And all the boardrooms, they're not talking about what, but how and when and how much. So there's a huge, push towards moving green. And the idea really of net zero, which is, zero carbon in your entire energy mix, has really in fact, the pandemic has even pushed that agenda further. And around these, we are seeing different models come up. The on-site solar, of course, was very promising, but now most of the states have liberal policies, and as you know, power is a state subject in India. So we're building these off-site locations across the country.
Okay.
We have our solar parks in Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu, Karnataka. Gujarat has come up with a very forward-looking hybrid policy where you can use wind and solar mix. And with the combination of storage, etc., I think the time is not very far where we are looking at a grid which is completely charged by renewable energy, and companies are able to get their net zero target.
Sure, definitely. There's been a lot of push on going clean. Will you be looking at acquisitions to accomplish your goal of 3 gigawatt of solar capacity by 2025? And if yes, then what companies will you be eyeing?
Yeah. So in our space, acquisitions are twofold, right? There are a lot of assets which we can acquire and grow our portfolio. And to that extent, we are always looking for good assets to acquire. In fact, the market is very ripe for consolidation. I think solar as an industry has gone through an entire cycle where, there was a very high growth phase and a lot of companies came in. And then eventually, I think the efficiency sort of kicks in. So we are definitely looking at acquisitions of solar assets, as well as we have recently acquired a company in the battery energy storage space a couple of months back. And, even internationally, we are looking at acquiring assets and bringing them onto our platform.
Okay, so there we will see a lot of M&A action there. Like you said, you just mentioned, you're expanding your capabilities in energy storage and EV charging infrastructure as well. You've already set up EV charging hubs in, Gurgaon, Pune and Kolkata. Are you planning to expand these services pan-India soon?
Yeah. So, Shruti, we look at EV charging as an extension of our distributed energy strategy, And what we figured is there are two things which are hindering the growth of electric vehicles in India. One is the charging infrastructure per se. And the second, the fact that even if you have electric vehicles, there is no point in, burning coal somewhere else and using that to, run those electric vehicles. So our real push is towards spreading this infrastructure throughout the country and trying to push in as much renewable energy through these charging infrastructure. And yes, the idea is that we will now, having taken this experience under our belt, we are now looking at rolling it out very quickly across the length and breadth of the country.
Okay. Saif, to date, Fourth Partner Energy manages a portfolio of 550 megawatt across its distributed and open access solar portfolios, with operations, like you said, across Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, Vietnam, and a partnership in Indonesia as well. Can you give us a sense of the financials, revenue, and road to profitability?
So, Shruti, we have always focused on being sustainable, and we have been profitable in our entire history of 10 years. So the road has already been covered to that extent. And, managing this kind of portfolio, we should be 1,000 crore plus in this current financial year in terms of the top line.
Okay. Saif,
profitable, yeah.
All right. One final question. You are enabling decarbonization of the commercial and industrial sector. Clean energy, like you said, is a huge need of the hour. How can we use this opportunity to mainstream solar energy in India? And also, talking about the solar power opportunity, has adoption moved fast enough for a country like India? And have you seen the enthusiasm built in the B2C space as well? So
I think there are pluses and minuses. I think India has been at the forefront of adoption of solar. Even if you look at Prime Minister Modi's push and the launching of the International Solar Alliance, we have been the torchbearers in that sense. However, as an incumbent player in this segment, you always want more, and therefore I think from a regulation perspective, if things liberalize a little more, the final retail and the generation sort of gets decoupled, the distribution and the retail, that could give it a further fillip in terms of just adoption of solar. B2C has been good, but it is still not as much as it should be in a country like India. I think there is a different business model. There needs to be more financing, which needs to flow into the B2C segment. And I think the future looks bright for that as well.
All right. So there is a need for more financing. Saif, we've completely run out of time. Many thanks for joining us on the show, and we wish you the very best for all your future plans and your push towards clean energy. Many thanks for joining.